Auzubillahi minash-shaytanir-rajim. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Dear student, Assalamu alaikum. This is our sixth lecture on advanced stereochemistry. Here we will discuss the stereochemical terminologies for cyclic sugars. As in our previous lecture, in this lecture fifth, we have discussed about the stereochemical terminologies for the open chain sugars. Key concepts of the lecture includes isomerism in cyclic sugars, DL sugars, alpha beta sugars, anomeric and epimeric carbons, and then enantiomers of cyclic sugars. The cyclic form of monosaccharides, when monosaccharides that contain 5 to 7 carbons are in aqueous solution. When monosaccharides that contain 5 to 7 carbons are in aqueous solution, they can undergo a reaction in which they rearrange their bonding pattern to form cyclic structure. It is a reversible reaction in which the open chain form is interconverted with the cyclic form. Examples: the cyclization rearrangement reaction is shown below for our D-glucose molecules. Here this is the D-glucose molecules. This is the Fischer projection formula. This Fischer projection formula, the carbon number 5th oxygen of carbon number 5th lone pair of this oxygen attack on the carbonyl centers and bond shift over and is converted into cyclic sugar. This is the D-glucose Haworth projection. The cyclic form is lower in energy and is therefore the predominant forms. The cyclic form is lower energy. It is an important point for your understanding that the cyclic form of sugar has low energy as compared to the open chain and is therefore the predominant form. In most solution, the equilibrium ratio of cyclic form to open chain form is about 100 to 1. The side view structure of the cyclic monosaccharides above right are called Haworth projection. This is called the Haworth projection cyclic form or Haworth structure. The carbon atom that form the ring are not drawn explicitly but are implied to occur where lines bonds help you meet together. Understand the three-dimensional implication of Haworth projection. Here we have drawn a ball and stick model that shows the actual geometry bond angles of the cyclic form of D-glucose next to its Haworth projection representation. This is the ball and stick model actual molecular geometry, and this is the Haworth projection. We have used large black dots at the ring carbon position in both structure. These are the large black dots. These shows the number of carbons. Each ring carbon is bonded to two other ring atoms and two other groups that are oriented upward relative to ring carbon are shaded green. Groups that are oriented downward from ring carbon are shaded red. Here they have distinguished between the groups which shaded green color. They have upward orientation, and the orientation of the downward orientation is denoted with red shaded. It showed that how Haworth structure and how Haworth geometry is formed. This is the ball and stick model, and this is the Haworth projection, and black dotted line represent the carbon atom, and the green color groups are oriented upward, and red color groups are oriented downward. The rearrangement cyclization reaction of monosaccharide is actually a form of hemiacetal formation reaction that you learned about the end of that you have learned previously. The hemiacetal and hemiketal formation. This is the basic chemistry. A hemiacetal is a molecule that contain both an OR group and OH group that are bonded to the same carbon atoms. Here general form of hemiacetal. This is the general form of hemiacetal. An aldehyde or ketone will react with alcohol to form a hemiacetal. This is the reaction of aldehyde or ketone when react with alcohol, they form hemiacetal. The OR from the alcohol forms bond to the carbonyl carbon of the aldehyde ketone. The H from the alcohol bond to the carbonyl oxygen, and the carbonyl group's double bond is changed to a single bond. Here this is the reaction of aldehyde or ketone. If R is replaced with the H, it will be aldehyde. Then this is the structure of hemiacetal. This is actually the reaction of aldehyde ketone with the alcohols. When OH and OR are present on the carbon, then this is called hemiacetal formation. Now let's think about how this reaction can occur for a monosaccharide. A hemiacetal is formed when monosaccharide hydroxyl group react with its carbonyl group. Here this is the intramolecular reactions that the lone pair of oxygen attack on this carbon. This is the D-glucose open chain form. Here you can see that when this reaction occur, then cyclic form of a glucose is formed. Here this is the second step in which pi electrons move towards the oxygen, and here there is obstruction of proton and result in the formation of D-glucose. This is the cyclic form of D-glucose. Note that beginning at the carbon number 1 and moving counterclockwise as indicated by the red arrow or the OR bonding pattern is seen. This is the D-glucose cyclic form, and when the OR bonding pattern occurs in this way, forming a ring, the molecule is referred to as cyclic hemiacetal. This is cyclic hemiacetal because the molecule is in cyclic form, because this OH group and this OR groups are on the carbon atom. That is, this is called hemiacetal formation. This is hemiacetal. If here there is R group, it can be called hemiketal. An example of cyclization of ketose, fructose, is shown below. This is a ketone, D-fructose. Here is this there is a keto group, ketonic group, Fischer projection open chain form. Again the lone pair of electrons attack on this carbon and form the cyclic structure. This is a D-fructose Haworth projection cyclic form of D-fructose. Here the cycle form is 1 2 3 4 5 membered cycle form is formed in case of fructose, while 6-membered cyclic form is formed in case of glucose. In the basic difference between the glucose and the fructose is that in fructose there is ketone group and in glucose there is aldehyde group. The most common cyclic monosaccharide structure are 5 and 6-membered ring. Cyclic monosaccharides with 5-membered rings are called furanoses, and those with 6-membered rings are called pyranoses. The 5-membered rings are called furanoses and 6-membered rings are called pyranoses. These terms are often used as suffixes when naming cyclic monosaccharide structure. This is the 5-membered ring structure. This is this is the pyranose, a D-glucopyranose, and this is the 5-membered ring structure. This is the D-fructofuranose, a furanose. Pyranose and furanose. The basic difference between the two is that this is the 5-membered cyclic structure and this is the 6-membered cyclic structure. The cyclization reaction is reversible. The cyclic form interconverts with the open chain form when monosaccharides are in solution. This is very important point for you to understand that the cyclization reaction is reversible. The cyclic form interconverts with the open chain form when monosaccharides are in solution. When monosaccharides are in solution, then cyclic form may be converted into open chain form. Each time that the open chain form is converted to a cyclic form, one of two cyclic enantiomers will be formed. Again, I have discussed that we will discuss the enantiomerism in cyclic sugars. How enantiomers are formed in cyclic sugars. This is the common phenomena that when we take the sugars in a solution, then the cyclic form is converted into open chain form, and this process is carried out until the sugar is converted into is taken out from the solution. This is the D-glucose. This is the open chain form, and rotation of aldehyde group. When aldehyde group rotated, then there is a possibility of beta D-glucopyranose and alpha D-glucopyranose. This is D-glucose open chain. This is alpha D glucopyranose. The difference on alpha and beta is created on the attachment of this hydroxyl group. If this hydroxyl group is on the same side of this oxygen, then this is called beta, and if this is away from this oxygen, then we say that is alpha. And these two, the relationship between beta D glucopyranose cyclic form and alpha D glucopyranose cyclic form is they are enantiomers or cyclic enantiomer pairs. Here how they are formed, that caused by the rotation around the bond between carbon 1 and carbon 2. This carbon 1 and this carbon 2, there is free rotation. Either rotation result in the formation of either enantiomer. Again, here is the in the open chain form of D-glucose, that is shown in the top left. In the open chain form of D-glucose, that is shown in the top left. This is the top left. This is the open chain of the illustration above. The carbonyl group is oriented upward. Here carbonyl group is oriented upward from the ring. Therefore, when the cyclic hemi-star is formed, bottom left, the new hydroxyl group will be oriented upward. The new hydroxyl group will be oriented upward. That is why from top left you can see over here there that when this is oriented upward, the OH, the hemiacetal, forms in the upward direction, and this is the beta D glucopyranose. Free rotation occurs around single bonds in the open chain form as depicted in the box in the top middle of the illustration. Here you can see in this carbon number 1 and carbon 2, there is a free rotation around the single bond. That is why due to this free rotation, either form is possible, this form and this form. These two pass. When these two forms are possible, then there is the possibility of beta D glucopyranose and alpha D glucopyranose. Rotation around the bond between carbon number 1 and carbon number 2 of the open chain form causes the carbonyl group to times be oriented downward from the ring, as in the open chain form in the top right of the illustration. In this arrangement, when the cyclization reaction occurs, the cyclic hemiacetal is formed with the new hydroxyl group OH oriented downwards from the carbon number 1, as seen in the bottom right of the structure. You can see that here OH is downward, here OH is upward. The relationship between these two cyclic forms is that they are enantiomers. The formation of either of the two different cyclic structure, a cyclic enantiomer pair, is possible because of the 4 different groups bonded to chiral hemiacetal carbon, the carbon which contains an OH and an OR. This carbon is called an anomeric carbon. The carbon, this is the terminology which is used in sugar stereochemistry, the anomeric carbon. When OH group and OR groups are attached at the carbon like this carbon and this carbon, these are the anomeric carbon. These are the anomeric carbon. The cyclic enantiomers are almost identical. The cyclic enantiomers are almost identical. The only difference is that the bonding pattern around the anomeric carbon as mirror image. Here it is clearly shown that the two forms are equal. Two enantiomers are almost identical. There is no difference. There is only difference in pattern around the anomeric carbon. At the anomeric carbon, when OH group is oriented upward, this is beta D glucopyranose. When the OH group is downward, oriented downward, then this is alpha D glucopyranose. This is a cyclic form. The sugar produced in photosynthesis and almost all of the other monosaccharide found in the plant animals are D sugars. This is another important point for your general knowledge, that during photosynthesis, the sugar which is photosynthesized in the plants and animals are D glucose. At some point in the history of earth, nature showed a preference for D sugars. This is the natural, that the presence of D sugars is a natural phenomena. For the remainder of this course, you will only see D sugars. That is why here you can see the D sugars and L sugars when there is existence of in nature L sugar. That is why we are showing you the D sugars. In nature, only D sugar exists. It is easy to identify the anomeric carbon in Howard projection of D sugar. It is a ring carbon to the right hand side of the ring oxygen. The two enantiomers that can be formed during the cyclization process are called anomers. The two enantiomers that can be formed during the cyclization process are called anomers. They are classified based on the orientation of hydroxyl group on the anomeric carbon as the alpha anomer or beta anomer. The alpha anomer has the OH on the anomeric carbon oriented downward from the ring. Alpha anomer. The beta anomer has the OH on the anomeric carbon oriented upward from the ring. As I have shown in my earlier slide, that the difference between the anomers, then the relationship between these two is enantiomers. Enantiomers means further classified into anomers because there is only difference in orientation at this carbon, that this is the anomeric carbon and here OH group is oriented upward, and here OH group at this carbon OH group is oriented downward. That is why this is the anomeric carbon, this is the anomeric carbon. That is why we say that is these two cyclic structures are anomers. The relationship between these two are anomers because that there is only change in configuration at this carbon number 1. This is the anomeric carbon, here this carbon number 1, this is the anomeric carbon. That is why these are anomers. When there is change in orientation, change in configuration at the anomeric carbon, then two possible structure, this is OH oriented downward, this OH oriented upward. This is the beta D glucopyranose and this is the alpha D glucopyranose. Again, this is the same cyclic structure formed, and this is the same as I have shown on my earlier slide, that D glucose open chain is there is a free rotation between carbon number 1 and carbon number 2, and this free rotation result means sometimes this carbon is oriented upward and sometimes is oriented downward. It is upward and it is downward. Upward result in the formation of beta anomer and downward result in the formation of alpha anomer. The conversion from alpha anomer to the open chain form then to the beta anomer and vice versa is called mutual rotation. This is very important terminology. This is ever asked in a lot of questions, in lot of competition examination, in a lot of other this is the question of Viva, that what is mutual rotation, the conversion of alpha anomer to the open chain form then to the beta anomer and vice versa. Means when one form is converted to the other, when alpha anomer is converted into beta anomer and beta anomer is converted into alpha anomer, then there is an equilibrium established between the conversion of alpha and beta anomers. Then this is called mutual rotation. Mutual rotation always occur at the anomeric carbon, like this carbon number 1 is the anomeric carbon. The mutual rotation can only occur at this carbon when there is possibility of formation of one enantiomers by rotating the bond around the single bond CC bond. Then one beta anomer is formed and alpha anomer is formed. Then this phenomenon is called mutual rotation. This phenomenon is called mutual rotation. The formation of beta anomers or alpha anomers also occur for the same reaction for ketosis. For example, the cyclization of D-fructose results in the formation of two possible anomers as shown below. You can see over here there. For example, the cyclization of D-fructose results in the formation of two possible anomers as shown below. Here is beta anomer, beta D-fructofuranose, alpha D-fructofuranose. This is the alpha anomer. Here you can see that there is a mutual rotation between the two anomeric between two isomers, means this is beta ionomer, this is alpha ionomer. That there is only difference in orientation, there is only difference configuration at anomeric carbon. This is the formation of beta ionomers or alpha ionomers also occur for the same reason. For ketones, for example, the cyclization of d-fructose results in the formation of two possible ionomers as shown below. This is for your understanding. For the molecule shown below, classify each of the molecule as either a pyranose or furanose, as I have discussed in earlier in my slides in my lecture, that which is pyranose and which is furanose. Then label the anomeric carbon. Then you have to label the anomeric carbon, classify each of the either beta ionomer or alpha ionomer. Then you have to distinguish between the alpha and beta ionomers. This is your assignment, this is your work, this is your class work. You have to do it. It is very important exercise from this, and when you will do it, then it will get clear that which one is anomeric carbon, which is alpha and which is beta. Furthermore, I would like you to be able to do the following on an examination. Given a Haworth projection of D monosaccharides, identify the molecule as pyranose or furanose, identify the anomeric carbon, identify the molecule as beta ionomer or alpha ionomer, understand the definition of mutual rotation, understand how three-dimensional arrangement of atoms in monosaccharide as seen in all ball and stick model is implied by Haworth projection. This is the summary of monosaccharide. Monosaccharide stereochemistry, open chain form and then cyclic form. Open chain were discussed with D sugar and L sugar. In the Fischer projection, the OH on the chiral carbon that is furthest from the carbonyl group is on right side. In the Fischer projection, the OH on the chiral carbon that is furthest from the carbonyl group is on the left side. This is the L sugar and this is the D sugar. Then cyclic form. In the Haworth projection, the OH on the anomeric carbon is oriented downward from the ring, alpha ionomer. In the Haworth projection, the OH on the anomeric carbon is oriented upward from the ring. This is the beta ionomer. This is the whole summary of the saccharide stereochemistry. Then monosaccharide derivatives and reactions. Monosaccharide derivatives are compounds that are derived from monosaccharides. Here I would like to introduce you to four classes of monosaccharides derivatives: amino sugars, carboxylic acid sugars, alcohol sugar and deoxy sugars. In amino sugars, the hydroxyl groups of monosaccharide has been replaced by an amino group. An example of amino sugar is D-glucosamine. D-glucosamine is derived when the hydroxyl group on carbon number 2 of D-glucose is replaced by an amino group. Open chain D-glucosamine. Like monosaccharide, amino sugars undergo mutual rotation. Beta D-glucosamine, open chain D-glucosamine, alpha D-glucosamine. This is the simplest cyclization of a glucosamine in which mutual rotation occur again at the carbon number 1. This amino sugars, in amino sugars, the hydroxyl group of monosaccharide has been replaced by an amino group. When the hydroxyl group is here at carbon number 2, when hydroxyl group is replaced with amino group, then this is called amino sugars. An example of amino sugar is D-glucosamine. This is open chain D-glucosamine and this is the closed cyclic form of D-glucosamine. This is beta because here OH upward direction. This is alpha D-glucosamine. Here OH is has orientation downward oriented at the carbon number 1. Thus only the configuration at carbon 1 is changed. This is the anomeric. Again these two are anomers. These two are anomers, and other relationship between the two is that these are two enantiomers because these are non-superimposable mirror image. There is another understanding check for you. Draw the Fischer projection of carboxylic acid sugar that is formed when the aldehyde group of D-ribose is oxidized. When this is oxidized, then draw the carboxylic acid sugar which carboxylic sugar is possible. This is for your work, you have to do it. Then there is alcohol sugars, sometimes called sugar alcohols, are derived when the carbonyl group of monosaccharide is reduced to hydroxyl group. This is done by the reaction that you have previously seen, reduction of aldehyde and ketones to alcohol. Example of reduction of monosaccharide D-glucose to form a alcohol sugar sorbitol. This is D-glucose, this is sorbitol. Here there is only difference in that this carbonyl is converted into, this is the reduced form and this is the oxidized form of oxidized form is D-glucose and the reduced form is sorbitol and alcohol sugar. The name of alcohol sugar is sorbitol. Alcohol sugars are used in the food and beverage industry as thickeners and sweeteners. Unlike sugars, alcohol sugars cannot be metabolized by oral bacteria, therefore do not cause tooth decay. Unfortunately for chefs, alcohol sugars do not caramelize as do natural sugars. Sorbitol can be manufactured by the reduction of D-glucose and it also occurs naturally in peas, peaches, prunes and apples. Sorbitol is used as a sugar substitute mostly to replace natural sugars in order to prevent tooth decay. It is not so effective as a dietary aid because it can be metabolized by humans for energy. On a per gram basis, it provides 65% of the energy of natural sugar, yet is only 60% as sweet as table sugar. Sucrose. Sorbitol is used in toothpaste, mouthwash and chewing gum. It is also used in great quantities as orally or rectally administered as a laxative. This was the use of alcoholic sugar. Alcoholic sugar has many uses. Then deoxy sugars, alpha D2-deoxy ribofuranose. This is D2-deoxyribose, a deoxy sugar. It is beta D2-deoxy ribofuranose. Like monosaccharide, deoxy sugars undergo mutual rotations. Means mutual rotations is also happen in deoxy sugars like monosaccharides. The D2-deoxy ribofuranose is one of the residues that make deoxyribonucleic acid. D2-deoxyribofuranose is one of the residues that make DNA, that makes the DNA. Then deoxy sugars play an important role in the formation of DNA. Here the important information is that like monosaccharide, deoxy sugars also undergo mutual rotations. Here is a question for you. D2-deoxyglucose is currently being used in the development of anti-cancer strategies. Using the Fisher projection of D-glucose as the starting point, draw the Fisher projection of D2-deoxyglucose. Here, this is the D-glucose. You have to draw the structure of D2-deoxyglucose for your understanding. You have to do the practice and then you have to show me when you have drawn your D2-deoxyglucose sugar. Table for review of monosaccharide derivatives. Monosaccharide derivatives and defining structural trait. Amino sugars and hydroxyl group of monosaccharide is replaced by amino groups NH2. Carboxylic acid sugars. The aldehyde group of an aldose is oxidized to carboxylic group. Alcohol sugar, the carbonyl group of a monosaccharide is reduced to hydroxyl group. Deoxy sugar, a hydroxyl group of monosaccharide is replaced by a hydrogen. This is called deoxy sugar. When hydroxyl group of monosaccharide is replaced by the hydrogen. This is the summary of different types monosaccharide derivatives. Here is again question for you. This is the assignment for you. Identify each of the molecules shown below as either a monosaccharide, amino sugars, carboxylic sugar, alcohol sugar or deoxy sugar. From this structure you have to distinguish between amino sugars, carboxylic acid sugar, alcohol sugars or deoxy sugars, and it is for your practice, and you have to uh, do this assignment by understanding the lecture. First you have to understand the lecture. You have to listen to the lecture clearly. When you will listen the lecture clearly, then you can be easily distinguish between amino sugar, between carboxylic acid sugar, between alcohol sugar and deoxy sugars. Carbohydrates are classified into monosaccharides, oligosaccharides and polysaccharides. Oligosaccharides are molecules that are made when 2 to 10 monosaccharides chemically bonded to each other. Molecules from particular organic families such as monosaccharides are referred to as residues when they bond together to form a large molecule. Oligosaccharides are often subcategorized by the number of monosaccharide residues that they contain. For example, an oligosaccharide that is composed of 2 monosaccharide residues is called a disaccharide. For example, an oligosaccharide that is composed of 2 monosaccharide residues is called a disaccharide. Likewise, an oligosaccharide made from 3 monosaccharide residues is called trisaccharide. Let us consider the bond formation between 2 alpha D-glucose monosaccharide. I will sometimes use large black dots here, this dot, this dot, this dot, and this dot, and this dot, and this dot at the position of the anomeric carbon. Here anomeric carbon are shown with black dots. Step 1. An hydrogen atom is removed from the hydroxyl group that is bonded to the anomeric carbon of the leftmost residue, and an OH is removed from any carbon in the rightmost residue. The H and OH that were removed from a water molecule. Step 2. Draw a new bond from the oxygen that remains on the anomeric carbon in the leftmost residue to the carbon from the which the OH was removed in the rightmost residue. This new bond is oriented in the same direction as was the bond to the OH that was removed. This method can be used to form a bond between any 2 sugar residue. The disaccharide that is formed in this example is called maltose. This is the example of maltose when 2 sugars combine together. This is the step 1. Step 1 in which these 2 here oxygen, here lone pair of oxygens combine. Here there is a removal of water molecule and then a bond is formed. Step 1. An hydrogen atom is removed from hydroxyl group, and OH that is bonded to anomeric carbon from leftmost residue, and an OH is removed from any carbon in the rightmost residue. This is rightmost residue. The H and OH that were removed from a water molecule, the water molecule formed. This is step 2. Draw a new bond. Here we will draw a new bond between the 2 sugars that remain on the anomeric carbon in the leftmost residue to the carbon from the which the OH was removed in the rightmost residue. This new bond is oriented in the same direction as was the bond to the OH that was removed. This method can be used to form a bond between any 2 sugar residue. The disaccharide that is formed in this example is maltose. This is the maltose. When 2 sugars combine together, a new bond is formed. This is called maltose. Maltose is found in malt, which is purified from germinated grains. Rivers interrupt the barley grains germination to obtain what is referred to as malted barley. Malted barley has high concentration of maltose, which is fermentable and therefore used in making beer and some other adult beverages. It is also used as sweetener and thickener in frozen beverages called malts. The covalent bonding pattern linking the anomeric carbon of one residue to an oxygen, then to a carbon in the other sugar residue is referred to as glycosidic bond. This is the bond which found between the 2 sugars is called glycosidic bond, even though it actually contains two single bonds. I have highlighted the glycoside bond in the drawing of maltose. This yellow color showed that this is the glycosidic linkage between the two sugar. Glycosidic linkage between the two sugars. It was the information about the maltose sugar, where it is found, how it is germinated, how it is fermented, and when two sugar combine together, then anomeric carbon of one sugar residue to an oxygen of other carbon residue, then the bond formed between the two sugar is called glycosidic bond. Glycosidic bonds are described using alpha or beta. The alpha designation indicates that the bond from the anomeric carbon to the oxygen in the glycosidic bond is oriented downward from the ring. The beta designation indicates that the bond from the anomeric carbon to the oxygen in the glycosidic bond is oriented upward from the ring. Here maltose has alpha designation because the bond from the anomeric carbon to the oxygen of the glycosidic bond is oriented downward. This is downward. That is why it is alpha. If it is oriented upward, then it will be beta. Upward orientation of the bond formed between the glycosidic bond can be alpha, can be beta, depends upon the orientation of the bond. A glycosidic bond is characterized by its alpha beta orientation and a description of which two carbons are linked by the glycosidic bond. For example, the glycosidic bond in maltose is classified as alpha 1,4. The numbers and arrows that are seen in the parenthesis, that is 1 to 4 in the case of maltose, begins with the position number of the anomeric carbon where the glycosidic bond originates. Then the arrow followed by the carbon position number where the glycosidic bond terminates in the other residues. This is the maltose. Here is alpha 1,4 glycosidic linkage. Here maltose has 1,4 designation because the glycosidic bond links in the anomeric carbon 1 to carbon number 4. Here in this sugar, the carbon 4 oxygen linked with the carbon number 1 result in the formation of alpha glucosidic linkage. This because this alpha glucosidic linkage is oriented downward, that is alpha. This is the maltose. Again, how it is formed? Note that the glycosidic bond in maltose has the alpha designation because it was constructed from alpha monosaccharides. When we are using alpha monosaccharides, then we will get alpha glucosidic bond. Later in this, you will see that the glycosidic bond constructed from beta monosaccharide will have a beta orientation. If we construct the maltose from the beta sugars, beta monosaccharide, then the beta orientation will occur. Then beta glycosidic linkage will be occur. When this is alpha sugar, then formation of alpha glycosidic bond occur. This is alpha 1,4 glycosidic bond. Alpha 1,4 glycosidic bond. Here is maltose again. This residue can no longer interconvert between open chain and cyclic form. It is locked in the cyclic form. Acetal carbon atom. Acetal carbon bonded to two OR groups. This residue can undergo mutation. This cannot undergo, while this can undergo. Hemiacetal carbon bond to an OR and an OH group. Here acetal because here is this is OR and this is OR. That way this is acetal. Here is OH. Further conversion into acyclic form is possible. This is called mutorotation. Means here rotation can be possible. Either alpha and beta form can be found. Oligosaccharide such as maltose with a residue that contain a hemiacetal anomeric carbon will interconvert, mutorotate between closed anomer and open anomer form. Means if there is hemiacetal anomeric carbon, then mutorotation occur. If there is acetal, now understand clearly, when there is acetal, then there is no, it is locked. There is no formation of mutorotation. mutar rotation will not occur in case of acetal. Mutar rotation only occur in hemiacetal. You have to understand clearly that you can see in this structure in maltose there are two sugar, one is acetal, this is acetal, and this is hemiacetal. This never undergo acyclic form, it is locked in cyclic form, there is no possibility, while this do undergo mutar rotation because this is hemiacetal. Here OH group is present, this OH group can be oxidized and can be reduced because here further oxidation is stopped. Again, mutar rotation of maltose. Note that the mutar rotation does not change the alpha beta reducing of the glycosidic bond. This is an important point, that when mutar rotation occurs, then the bond between the glycosidic bond which is formed between the two sugar will be never changed. If it is alpha, it will remain alpha. If it is beta, it will remain beta. It never depends on the mutar rotation of other sugar. If the open chain form of an oligosaccharide contain an aldehyde group, it will give a positive Benedict solution. This is another test which can be used, that if the aldehyde group is present, then the Benedict test will be positive. If cyclic form is present, then Benedict solution will be negative. Since the anomeric carbon in the rightmost residue in a hemiacetal and undergoes mutar rotation, the orientation of OH and HR that are bonded to it constantly changes. I arbitrarily choose to draw the OH in rightmost residue in the alpha orientation. It would have been equally corrected to draw the OH in that residue in the beta orientation as shown below. This is here again you can orient according to which you want to draw, like alpha or beta orientation. Let us now visualize the way that a glycosidic bond connects to two beta D glucose monosaccharide. We will use the same two steps as we did the formation of disaccharide in our previous examples. Here again this is beta D glucose, this is beta D glucose. In our previous examples we have used alpha D glucose. Now again here I will recall you that when I say that there is alpha D glucose, the formation of glucosidic linkage will be alpha. Now this is beta. In step 1, an hydrogen atom is removed from the hydroxyl group. OH that is bonded to anomeric carbon of the leftmost residue, and OH is removed from any carbon in the rightmost residue. The H and OH that were removed from form the water molecules. In step 2, draw a new bond from the oxygen that remains on the anomeric carbon in the leftmost residue to the carbon from which the OH was removed in the rightmost residue. This new bond is oriented in the same direction as was the bond to OH that was removed. The disaccharide that is formed in this example is called cellobiose. This is cellobiose. Here the linkage alpha glucosidic link here the linkage glucosidic linkage is beta glycosidic linkage, beta. In previous example it was alpha. In step 1, water is removed, and there we have drawn a line to connect with the other sugar, and this is cellobiose. This is cellobiose. Cellobiose has the beta designation because the bond from the anomeric carbon to the oxygen of the glycosidic bond oriented upward from the ring. Cellobiose has 1,4 designation because the glycosidic bond links the anomeric carbon number 1 to carbon number 4 of the other residue. This is cellobiose, a disaccharide beta 1,4 alpha glucosidic linkage. Then if you will be asked question to distinguish between alpha 1,4 glycosidic linkage and beta 1,4 glycosidic linkage. From here you can clearly see that this is the beta 1,4 beta 1,4 glycosidic bond. Yellow, in yellow color, this bond show is the beta 1,4 glycosidic bond. Note that since we began with beta monosaccharide, the glycosidic bond necessarily has the beta orientation. As I have tell you previously, because this is beta D glucose, this is also beta D glucose. When these come together, they combine and remove water molecule occur. In next step, there is formation of bond between the two sugar molecules. Then this is cellulose or disaccharide. This bond is oriented upward. This is beta orientation. If the bond oriented is downward, then it is alpha orientation. The anomeric carbon in the rightmost residue undergo mutual rotation. The anomeric carbon in the rightmost residue undergo mutual rotation. The anomeric carbon in the rightmost residue. This is the rightmost residue. This form cannot undergo mutual rotation because this is locked. While this here is OH group is present, here mutual rotation possible. I repeatedly used to draw the rightmost residue with OH in the beta orientation. It would have been equally correct to draw that OH in the alpha orientation. Examples of other oligosaccharides: this is lactose, is disaccharide that can beta D galactose residue bonded to a D glucose residue by a beta 1,4 glycosidic bond. This is another example of oligosaccharides in which the linkage between the two sugar is beta 1,4 glycosidic linkage. This is the stacose, another polysaccharide. We have discussed monosaccharide, disaccharide, then oligosaccharide, then now we are discussing the polysaccharide. When more than 1 units of glucose combine together, then they form a polysaccharides. This is the example of stacose. This is D-galactose residue. Here alpha 1,6 glycosidic linkage. This is D-galactose residues. Here again alpha 1,6. Why 1,6? Because here is 1 carbon and here is 6 carbon form a linkage. This is alpha beta 1,2 glycosidic linkage. Alpha beta means alpha of carbon number 1 and beta of carbon number 2 of this D-fructose residues combined together to form a alpha beta 1,2 glycosidic bond. Stacose is made from 2 galactose residue, a glucose residue and a fructose residue. It is characterized as tetrasaccharide because it contains 4 monosaccharide. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 unit monosaccharide is tetrasaccharide. It comes under polysaccharides. Here you have to identify the labeled bond. Either these are alpha or beta. This is for your classify each of the highlighted glycosidic bonds using alpha. That this is alpha 1,4, alpha or beta 1,4. You have to draw and do practice. It is assignment for you. Again, here the labeled yellow labeled bond you have to discriminate, and other label you have to discriminate. Either it is alpha linkage or beta linkage. Draw the disaccharide that is found when 2 monosaccharide molecules below are connected as alpha beta. This is now you have to draw that how these are they will combine together. This is the practice as I have given you in my previous slide. Sweeteners. A sweetener is a compound that is added to the food in order to impart the sweet taste of sucrose, but with significantly fewer calories. Sweeteners can be classified as artificial sweeteners or natural sweeteners. Natural sweeteners are carbohydrates, naturally occurring carbohydrates, derivatives or other naturally occurring carbohydrates like D-fructose. Example of natural sweetener fructose. Artificial sweeteners do not occur in nature. They are synthesized in commercial laboratories. The structure formula of some artificial sweeteners are, that is aspartame, nature, equal natural sweeteners, saccharine, sweet, low sweetening, and this is Splenda, this is sucralose. These compounds are synthesized in the laboratory. These are artificial sweeteners. This is for your understanding that identify the following properties of either amylose, amylopectin, or amylose. These are the different polysaccharide amylose, amylopectin, and both amylose and amylopectin contain alpha 1,4 alpha linkage, 1,6 alpha linkage, branching point, more quickly digest amylose or amylopectin. You have to give answer of these questions. Again, this is assignment for you. You have to do this assignment. Again, this is another assignment. You have to, this is a single answer, means you can give your answer in single line. Heteropolysaccharides are composed of more than one type of residue. The residue can be monosaccharide or monosaccharide derivatives. This is the examples of heteropolysaccharide. Hyaluronic acid. Hyaluronic acid contains D-glucuronic acid and N-acetyl glucosamine residue connected to each other in the bonding pattern shown below. This is D-glucuronic acid residue, N-acetyl, D-glucosamine residue, D-glucuronic acid residue, N-acetyl D-glucosamine residue. The D-glucuronic acid and N-acetyl D-glucosamine residues are connected by alternating beta-1,4 and beta-1,3 glucosidic bond. The structure shown above represent only small section of hyaluronic acid molecule which can contain up to about 50,000 residues. Here means this is a small portion. Here show that other residues are also about 50,000 residues are present. This is the polysaccharides. Homopolysaccharide versus heteropolysaccharides. Homosaccharides contain only one type of residue. Heteropolysaccharides contain more than one type. This was whole about the summary of carbohydrates. We have thoroughly discussed the points of cyclic sugars with stereochemical terminologies like anomeric carbons, mutarotation, and then the enantiomers in cyclic form, then beta D, alpha D, then alpha glucosidic linkage, beta D glucosidic linkage. Means all these are present in the natural forms because we are using D sugar present in nature, L sugars are not present. And this is the lecture about the cyclic sugars, stereochemical determinations, stereochemical parameters of cyclic sugars. You can ask me question if you have any problem, and you have to solve the questions which I have given you during the lectures. In the slides, few slides contains questions. You have to solve the questions. By solving the questions, you become able to distinguish between the stereochemistry of the carbohydrate sugar. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.